Respect doesn't come from what you give her. It comes from what you're willing to walk away from. Every man learns this lesson too late, through distance, silence, or heartbreak. You can give her your best, loyalty, patience, consistency, but if you stay available after she stops valuing it, she won't see strength. She'll see softness, because in her mind, the man who can't detach isn't dependable. He's predictable, and predictability kills desire faster than absence ever could. The truth is, women don't respect words, they respect energy. They respect the man whose emotions don't sway with theirs, the one who can stand still when she storms. When you pull back, the power dynamic shifts. Suddenly, the woman who dismissed your presence starts questioning your silence. The same woman who took you for granted begins to wonder if she misjudged you. Detachment resets what neediness destroyed. It strips away performance and reintroduces polarity. This video will break down why detachment commands respect, how emotional stillness reclaims your gravity, and why women only feel admiration for men who master their peace instead of proving it. You'll learn how to shift from reaction to response, from validation to value, and from being understood to being unshakable. Before we dive in, brother, if you've ever wondered why she stopped respecting the man who gave her everything, stay close, because what you'll hear today will explain exactly why that happened, and how to reverse it without saying a single word. Drop a 1 if you still try to explain your worth. Drop a 2 if you've learned to let your absence do the talking. Like this video, subscribe to Stoic Station, and start this journey now, because peace isn't passive, it's power. 1. The psychology of female respect. She doesn't respect what you give, she respects what you can control. Every man craves respect from the woman he loves. It's a quiet desire, deeper than affection itself, to be seen as steady, grounded, and worthy. Yet most men chase respect in the wrong way. They believe the more they give, the more they'll earn. But the truth, brother, is colder. The harder you try to prove your worth, the less she feels it. Respect isn't granted through effort. It's felt through presence. You can give her affection, loyalty, and every ounce of attention. But if your emotions bend every time hers shift, she'll never see you as strong. She doesn't respect the man who reacts to her storms. She respects the man who can stand still in the middle of them. The one who doesn't lose himself when she withdraws, who doesn't beg when she tests, who can stay calm when she pushes just to see if he'll break. Every woman, consciously or not, will test your balance, not to wound you, but to understand you. She needs to feel the steadiness in your presence, to know whether your peace is anchored in her approval or in something deeper. That's why her emotions swing like a pendulum. She's measuring your gravity. But most men collapse under that weight. They mistake emotional openness for strength and confuse constant reassurance with connection. They think if they just explain enough, give enough, stay available enough, she'll finally feel safe. Yet each time they do, they unknowingly trade their edge for comfort. And comfort, without polarity, becomes dullness. When she can predict your every move, your energy loses mystery. You become safe, but not in the way that excites her. You become safe in a way that fades into the background. She stops wondering what you'll do next, because she already knows. And what once drew her in, the quiet tension between her chaos and your calm, disappears. Real respect thrives in contrast. It's born in the gap between her emotion and your composure, between her waves and your stillness. Detachment in this sense isn't coldness, it's control. It's not ignoring her feelings, it's mastering your own. It's the quiet confidence that says, I can love you deeply, but I don't need to lose myself to prove it. And when she senses that steadiness, that your peace doesn't depend on her approval, everything changes. Her tests stop feeling like manipulation and start feeling like admiration. She looks at you differently. She softens. Because in your calm, she finally finds safety. In your silence, she finally feels respect. That's the paradox of power. The less you try to earn it, the more she feels it. She doesn't respect the man who gives everything to be understood. She respects the man who stands firm, unshaken, even when misunderstood. Because deep down, she doesn't want to lead your emotions. She wants to trust your strength. And that begins the moment you stop trying to prove who you are and simply embody it. 2. When need turns into weakness. The more you chase her validation, the faster she loses respect. A woman can sense need before you ever say a word. It's not in what you tell her. It's in what your energy reveals. It's in your eyes when you wait too long for her reply, in the tone of your voice when you explain yourself just to be understood, in the way you overextend yourself, hoping she'll finally see your worth. But the moment your peace begins to depend on her attention, your power starts to fade. You stop being a man with purpose and start revolving around her approval, and even though she may not want to lose respect, she inevitably does. Because deep down, a woman doesn't crave your affection as much as she craves your stability. Neediness isn't love, it's fear in disguise. Fear of being forgotten, fear of being replaced, fear of not being enough. And that fear, brother, shifts your entire vibration. You stop giving from abundance and begin giving from anxiety. You don't give to express, you give to be seen. You don't speak to connect, you speak to be heard. You're no longer leading from strength, you're performing from insecurity. And whether she says it aloud or not, she feels that shift. Women are intuitive. They feel the difference between a man who offers energy freely and a man who's trading it for validation. That's when everything you do begins to backfire. Every message becomes a silent test. Every pause feels like punishment. And because you can't sit with uncertainty, you start chasing reassurance that no longer carries meaning. The more you reach, the further she pulls away. It's not that she wants to hurt you, it's instinct. The feminine seeks polarity. She's drawn to the masculine energy that grounds her, not the one that clings to her. When she feels your dependence, she subconsciously moves into control. And in that shift, attraction dissolves and respect quietly follows. But the Stoic man understands something deeper. He knows that neediness isn't a flaw, it's misplaced focus. It's a signal that he's forgotten who he is. So instead of trying to hold on to her, he holds on to himself. He realigns his life around discipline, not desperation. He pours his energy into his mission, not her moods. He stops trying to earn what cannot be bought, respect, admiration, presence, and starts embodying what naturally attracts it. His energy doesn't beg, it radiates. He doesn't demand love. He becomes the kind of man who doesn't have to. And here lies the irony. When you no longer need her validation, she starts questioning her own. She wonders why your energy feels lighter, why you seem unbothered, why your silence carries more confidence than her approval ever did. Emotional independence is magnetic. The moment you stop chasing, she begins to seek, not because you manipulated her, but because you reminded her of something she forgot, that respect cannot survive where dependence rules. So when you feel that old urge to prove yourself, pause, redirect that energy inward, build yourself in silence, because the man who no longer needs her attention is the one she can't stop thinking about. The man who stops seeking validation becomes the mirror that exposes her own longing. And that shift, brother, that calm withdrawal, is where respect is reborn and attraction silently returns. Third detachment, the quiet reset. When you stop feeding her ego, you start feeding your power. Most men mistake detachment for distance. They think it means ignoring her calls, withholding attention, or pretending not to care. But true detachment isn't about how far you pull away. It's about where you place your focus. It's the moment you stop chasing her validation and start chasing your own peace. It's not an act of punishment, it's an act of purification. Because when you've given too much, when you've bent yourself around her moods and lost your balance trying to please her, detachment becomes the medicine that resets everything. When you detach, something powerful happens beneath the surface. You quietly remove her ability to define your value. Your emotions stop revolving around her approval. The rhythm of your life no longer depends on whether she's warm or distant. And for the first time, she has to face what your absence really means. The loss of emotional control she once held. You stop existing as a reaction and start existing as your own gravity. That's when polarity returns, when your energy shifts from need to neutrality, from chasing to choosing. At first, she won't understand the shift. She'll test it. She'll provoke you with subtle texts, cryptic posts, or sudden warmth after coldness. All attempts to see if she still holds the same power over your emotions. But when you no longer react, when you remain calm, grounded, and still, something inside her begins to unravel. She starts to realize that she can no longer pull the same strings, that your silence isn't a wall, it's a mirror reflecting her own uncertainty. And as her mind races, she begins to remember. She replays the moments when you gave freely, the way your presence used to steady her storms, the balance she once felt but never understood. Now that it's gone, your silence echoes louder than your words ever did. It doesn't sound like rejection, it sounds like revelation. Because detachment forces her to see the truth. You were never hers to control. You were always your own. And once she feels that truth, her perception shifts. What she once called indifference now feels like strength. What she once dismissed as coldness now reads as clarity. That's the quiet reset. The moment she realizes that your energy no longer bends for her emotions, and the world no longer stops for her absence. So stop fighting to be seen, brother. Stop explaining, proving, or persuading. Center yourself and let peace become your power. Because when a man stops feeding her ego, he starts feeding his own evolution. And that's when she finally sees what she lost. Not attention, but stability. And stability, once gone, is the one thing she'll always chase, but never find again. 4. When she feels you've truly let go. She won't respect your presence until she fears your absence. Every woman feels the moment a man truly lets go. It doesn't happen when he blocks her, ignores her, or tries to prove he's over her. It happens when his energy detaches so completely that she can't feel him anymore, not even in his silence. It's when his emotions no longer orbit around her, and she can sense, deep down, that she no longer holds the same pull she once did. That's when something inside her begins to shift. At first, she might tell herself he's just pretending, that he's still watching, still hoping. But real detachment carries a frequency she can't fake to herself. It feels final, steady, and strangely peaceful. In the beginning, she might mistake that calm for defeat. She'll assume your silence means you've given up. But soon, that stillness starts to haunt her. She begins to realize that your quiet isn't weakness. It's power. It's the absence of emotional chaos that used to feed her ego. It's the end of her ability to control your peace. She starts to feel the vacuum you've left behind, not because you've vanished, but because your energy is no longer tied to her validation. She'll try to test that silence, though she may not admit it. A post that echoes an old inside joke, a song lyric that feels just a little too specific. a story shared at midnight when she knows you might still be awake. It's not love she's reaching for, it's reassurance. She wants to know she still has access, but when you don't react, when you don't even flinch, the balance quietly shifts. For the first time, she's the one wondering. She starts to feel the weight of your absence, not your physical distance, but the emotional gravity that's no longer there. And that's when regret begins to surface. She remembers the man you were before, calm, centered, focused, the one who didn't need her validation to feel grounded, the man who carried quiet strength, not noise. That image of you returns to her mind, clearer than before, and she realizes how rare that kind of energy truly was. Your silence revives the version of you that first captured her respect, and this time she understands what she lost. Here's the truth, brother. She doesn't start respecting you when you come back. She starts respecting you the moment she realizes you don't need to. When your peace is no longer something she can disturb, you become untouchable. The same silence she once thought was indifference becomes the mirror of her own confusion. She begins to feel what you once felt, the emptiness of reaching for someone who no longer reacts. So don't fear letting go completely. Let it happen with calm, not anger. Because when you release in peace, you reclaim your power. You stop trying to be understood and start becoming undeniable. And in that moment, her confusion becomes your clarity, her longing becomes your liberation. That's the quiet truth of detachment. When she finally feels you've truly let go, she doesn't just miss you. She respects you again. And that respect, once lost, only returns when your absence teaches her what your presence once meant. 5. Boundaries speak louder than words. Your silence says what explanations never could. You can't talk a woman into respecting you. No message, no speech, no reminder of what you've done will ever make her see your worth. Because respect doesn't grow through words. It grows through the limits you set and the consistency with which you protect them. Boundaries are the language of value, and silence is how that language is spoken. When your actions align with your principles, you don't need to explain who you are. Your energy already does it for you. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you silently tell her that she can lead you through emotion. You teach her that her moods define your standards. And once she feels that, she stops trusting your strength. Because no woman can truly respect a man she can emotionally manipulate. The moment she realizes your peace can be disrupted by guilt, affection, or fear of loss, she loses something essential, her admiration for you. Boundaries aren't about control, they're about clarity. They define who you are, what you stand for, and what you refuse to tolerate. They're not built through anger or dominance, but through quiet consistency. A man with clear boundaries doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard. His calm presence speaks for him. His distance explains what words can't, and his refusal to engage in chaos shows that his peace is not up for negotiation. Most men confuse patience with passivity. They think understanding means enduring everything. They convince themselves that compassion requires silence, even when that silence allows disrespect to grow. But that isn't kindness, it's self-erasure. Because when you constantly overlook what hurts you, you teach her that she can do it again. You trade integrity for acceptance and end up losing both. Here's the truth, brother. The more you tolerate, the less she values. When your boundaries are blurred, your energy becomes common. She stops feeling your strength because you've stopped showing her where you stand. A woman's respect grows from contrast, from knowing that your kindness has limits, that your patience has depth but not weakness, that your love is offered, not owed. When she feels that edge, she feels your presence differently. You become solid, grounded, the kind of man whose absence carries weight because his standards give meaning to his love. The Stoic man doesn't explain his worth. He lives it. He doesn't beg to be understood. He allows his actions to speak. If she's disrespectful, he leaves. If she withdraws, he observes. If she returns, he measures. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. It's the calm strength of a man who knows his value isn't determined by who stays, but by what he stands for. And when your actions begin to match your principles, your silence becomes sacred. You no longer chase validation. You embody it. You no longer react to disrespect. You simply step away from it. Because your absence, when grounded in self-respect, speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. She'll feel it long after the words fade, the quiet certainty that your peace isn't for sale. That's the paradox of real strength. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't demand recognition. It simply walks away when something no longer aligns. And in that moment, your silence doesn't just end the conversation, it writes the lesson. She begins to understand what she lost, not through your words, but through the void your discipline leaves behind. Because nothing is louder, brother, than a man whose silence stands for his worth. Sixth detachment is emotional mastery. You don't lose when you walk away calmly. You evolve. Every man at some point reaches a breaking point, a moment when he's done everything he could, said all that could be said, and still feels invisible. It's in that silence, that exhaustion, that truth finally begins to rise. Detachment isn't born from coldness or revenge. It's born from awakening. It's that moment you realize peace isn't found in being understood. It's found in understanding yourself. You stop chasing closure because you become it. You stop begging for respect because you start embodying it. What used to break you now refines you. True detachment is emotional alchemy, the transformation of pain into discipline, heartbreak into purpose, disappointment into direction. It's not about shutting off your emotions, it's about mastering them. It's standing in the middle of chaos and choosing stillness anyway. It's when you no longer let external storms dictate your internal weather. That's what separates men who stay trapped in cycles from those who rise above them. You stop reacting, stop explaining, stop fighting battles that drain your spirit. Because once you detach, you begin to see everything differently. What you once called loss now looks like liberation. Most men fear detachment because they confuse it with not caring, but it's not indifference, it's intelligence. It's the highest form of care. Care for your dignity, your peace, and your purpose. It's choosing calm over chaos, dignity over drama, and alignment over attention. The Stoic man doesn't shut down his heart. He sharpens it. He knows that emotions are not meant to be suppressed, but guided. That real strength isn't in pretending not to feel, but in refusing to be ruled by feeling. Detachment is the art of loving without losing yourself, of showing compassion without surrendering your center. And when she sees that evolution in you, when she realizes her silence no longer controls you, when her absence no longer defines your worth, something inside her changes. She begins to feel a shift she can't explain. You're not the same man she once knew. You've stopped responding to emotional bait. You've become a mountain, steady, grounded, immovable, and what once felt like indifference now radiates power. Because nothing commands more respect than the man who is no longer swayed by the noise around him. That's emotional mastery. You don't fight for control. You are control. You don't announce your worth, you live it. Detachment doesn't destroy connection. It restores dignity. It's the process of returning home to yourself after giving too much of your energy to others. You stop chasing love as validation and begin living as proof of it. Because the truth is, the goal was never to make her respect you. It was to respect yourself so fully that she has no choice but to recognize it. When you walk away in peace, you don't lose her. You lose the version of yourself that thought you needed her to be whole. And in that letting go, you become something far greater, the man every woman quietly admires, but few truly deserve. Calm, centered, and untouchable. That's the power of walking away without anger, not to prove a point, but to preserve your peace. Because, brother, you don't lose when you walk away calmly. You evolve. Brother, here's what I want you to remember. This isn't about manipulating a woman or proving your worth. It's about mastering yourself. Respect isn't earned through giving more, explaining more, or waiting longer. It's earned through control of your emotions, your energy, and your direction. A woman doesn't test you to break you. She tests to feel your strength. But most men lose it the moment their peace depends on her attention. They confuse patience with weakness, effort with desperation. That's when respect begins to fade, because deep down, she doesn't want a man she can lead emotionally. She wants one she can trust to stay centered. That's why detachment is powerful. It's not distance, it's discipline. It's the quiet shift from needing her response to valuing your balance. When you stop feeding her ego and start feeding your own growth, everything changes. She feels it. She senses your calm and realizes your silence isn't defeat, it's strength. Boundaries are how you teach her your worth without a single word. You don't argue or chase. You act. You walk away when respect fades, not to punish, but to protect your peace. And that calm withdrawal speaks louder than anything you could say. In the end, brother, the goal isn't to make her respect you. It's to respect yourself so deeply that she has no choice but to see it. The man who can walk away in peace doesn't lose. He evolves. And that evolution is what makes him unforgettable. Brother, if this truth spoke to you, let it settle. Just for a moment, breathe it in, because peace, it's not weakness. It's proof that you've mastered the storm inside. Drop this in the comments. Peace is my power. Let it be your reminder every time life tries to shake your balance. Like this video, so other men searching for strength can finally find it. Subscribe to Stoic Station for your daily dose of discipline, detachment, and emotional mastery. And remember, brother, the man who walks away in calm, he doesn't lose anything. He's just walking back toward himself. Your stillness is your statement. Your calm is your comeback.